I will continue to exist. Is this clear? This is the first verse. Let's first get the meaning, then we'll get into the commentary later. So the first verse says that everything is temporary, but something remains when everything is destroyed. This is a very important point. Actually, this needs to be contemplated upon. Everything will change, but something will not change. And that is called Brahman in Upanishadic language. The Chinese call it Ki. Mexican in the Toltec tradition call it by some name I forget. Everybody has a term for that phenomenon which doesn't change. When everything changes. And we in our Bhakti Yoga tradition call this reality as Krishna and Atman. The soul and Krishna never change. Everything changes. So after establishing this truth in the first verse, in the next verse, the Lord says, so, if everything is changing and one reality is not changing, then whatever you are doing, whatever you do, whatever life we are leading, it has to be in relation to this unchanging truth. Then you will be peaceful. That is the second verse. Please repeat. Riteyartam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyad atmano mayam yata bhaso yata tamaha. So he's saying, O Brahma, if you are having relationship with anything without connecting it with me, then it is temporary and illusory. It is like a reflection you see in darkness. It has no meaning. So if we are involved in activities without connecting to the Lord, it's all illusory and fleeting. At this point of time, after hearing these two verses, please understand, the first verse says, everything is changing, but Krishna is not changing. Second verse says that whatever you are doing, connect it to Krishna. So you may say, okay, I am going for my job here in Boston. I connect my job to Krishna. I connect my family to Krishna. I should see Krishna in my family. Krishna is God. He will be in my family. He should be in the spiritual world. Like my Guru Maharaj told one family, they had twins. And his mother was struggling with those two children. And she said, Maharaj, I am not able to come to temple so much. I am not able to do so much service. So Maharaj said, you have twins. Your two sons are God Mithai. Take care of them. So the point is, is this real? I mean, how can God come to this world? How can I see God in my family, in my work? That is revealed in the third verse. Please repeat. Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu uchavacheshvanu pravisthani apravisthani tata teshu nateshvaham. So in this third verse it is explained, God is in his abode. But he comes to this world. But that doesn't mean he is not in his world. The example is given. Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu uchavacheshvanu pravishtani apravishtani. The material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Like this body is consisting of earth element. So earth element is in this body. But earth element exists independent of this body also. Isn't it? There is water element in this body, but water exists separately from this body also. Similarly, pravishtani pravishtani tata teshu nateshvaham. Oh, Krishna is saying, oh Brahma, I enter this world, I enter your family as your children, I enter your space, but I am also separate from it. I also have a separate existence. Did you get this? Out of the 4 verses, we have discussed 3. What does the first one say? That Krishna and Atman are unchanging permanent truth. Second verse says, if we see things without connection with that, we will be in illusion and darkness. We have to see everything in connection with Krishna. And third, when a doubt arises, how can everything have connection with Krishna? Krishna is clarifying. He is here in this world, but is also separate from this world. Just like elements are part of this world, but elements are independent existence. After all of this, you will say, okay, so what should I do now? What is the practical application? So this is the last verse. Text 36. Please repeat. Etavadeva jigyasyam tattva jigyasunatmanaha अन्वया व्यतिरेकाभ्याम यस्या सर्वत्र सर्वदा जिज्ञासा. Be inquisitive, be a seeker, constantly keep asking, what is that essence? What is it that doesn't change? Not just when you are in a good mood, every day, at every time, every place. Go beyond superficial reality and seek that essence. So these are the 4 verses which contain the essence of Bhagavatam. First verse declares that everything is changing, but something is not changing. Second verse says that, okay, connect with that unchanging reality. If you don't connect with that, whatever you are doing is all illusory. And third verse says, don't worry, that unchanging reality is part of your day-to-day life. And that unchanging reality also is a separate existence. And the fourth verse is an instruction. Always go deeper. Don't be caught up in the superficial realities of life. If you know these 4 verses, you will know the Bhagavatam. So do you all agree that everything is changing? Physical reality means something which has a beginning and an end. But when everything changes, something doesn't change. That is called Brahman. Now I'll give an example. Anybody here feels very peaceful, very satisfied when you're in nature, like say you go on a mountain trek or forest or an ocean side. Have you felt like that? Have you ever wondered why you feel like that? I know many people who say, oh, I feel so peaceful when I go to an ancient temple which has been there for 1,000 years, like Jagannath Puri. Have you ever wondered why you feel like that? I'll tell you the reason. The reason is because compared to you, your body, that forest has been around for a long time. As if it's been there forever. The mountain, the Himalayas have been there for eternity. Compared to you, your body. And when you go there, you know somewhere intuitively, deeply that you are also unchanging. There is something within you which also is eternal. And that's why you connect to that place. Do you get it? Okay, I'll give an example. I think that will make it clear. There is a large banyan tree near our temple in Mumbai. That banyan tree is supposed to be 500 years old. So when I go and sit under the tree, I become very peaceful. I feel very peaceful. And one day, suddenly a realization awoke in my heart. It was as if the banyan tree is telling me, Hari Bol. See, the tree has been 500 years old. And I felt the tree telling me that you are also as old as me. You've been around for a long, long time. So this body is temporary. But there is this soul which doesn't die. The soul is eternal. It was like 2 friends meeting. And because of that meeting, I felt peaceful. That's why you feel peaceful when you're in nature. Because you don't die. Because you're eternal. And that is the reality we have to connect to. Something that doesn't change when everything changes. Like, like this temple, Srila Prabhupada was here, 19. Prabhupada was there, and the deities Gopi Vallabha were installed. Not this temple, but deities are there. But so many things have changed. But Gopi Vallabha is here. See, in our temple where I joined, I will tell you this story. When I joined 28 years ago, 29 years ago, there was an elderly Vaishnava who would wobble to the temple hall. He was 92 years old. His name was Sanatan Muni. He would wobble. And today, 2026, he is not there. But today we have Param Purush Prabhu. Exactly like that man. He is wobbling to the temple hall every day morning for Mangalarati. When I joined the temple, there was an elderly Vaishnava, Vanaprastha. His name was Abhiram Gopal Thakur. He would sit in one of the chairs during Mangalarati. Today is no more. Today we have Braja Krishna Prabhu. He sits in that chair. He is also an elderly Vaishnava. When I joined the temple, there were two children, Janvi and Gautam. They were frolicking, running around the temple campus all the time. Today, Janvi is of manageable age. She is going to get married. Gautam is an engineer. But instead of both of them, today we have two other children, Sri Rama and Gaurapriya. They are always running around in the temple complex. You see what I am saying? And 28 years ago, when I joined, we were young brahmacharis standing right in the front of the deities and jumping and dancing, and the older brahmacharis would be sitting behind. And now, when the younger brahmacharis are jumping and dancing, sometimes I am tired and sitting behind, nursing the wounds inflicted by time. Everything has changed. Something is not changing. Radha Gopinath Seva is going on. People are coming, going, new children, new old people. Something is not changing. That is Brahman. Are we connecting to that reality which doesn't change? Do you get it now? And when you connect to this, you become peaceful and fearless. You will not be afraid of your H1B visa. You will not be afraid that, oh, my green card, oh, when will it happen? Because you are connecting to something beyond this world. And the more we connect to that space, the more we will become confident, fearless, stable. And in our tradition, we know this reality to be Krishna. I want to tell you a real story. I know it's a risk, telling your own stories as if I'm very advanced, but just to make a point emphatic, sometimes personal stories help. So I come from a small temple town where my grandfather was a priest in a temple. And when I was a young boy, this is the year 1984, I was 11 years old, 12 years old. And Indian Prime Minister had been assassinated and the elections had taken place. And a young Prime Minister was appointed, Rajiv Gandhi. And as the election results were announced and the Prime Minister was announced, that was the time my sister was getting married. So we were in our hometown and a lot of activities happening and everybody is talking about marriage. Tomorrow is the marriage. Evening everybody is talking, fun, activities. And also there is a discussion about politics because the government has changed. And as a young boy with an impressionable mind, I'm taking in all the news, all the festivities. I'm looking at everyone with confusing, contradictory opinions, passionate stands on elections, politics, and then also marriage program. And then we were sleeping. We had to sleep early because next day morning, 3 a.m. we had to go to the temple for the religious activities before marriage. There was puja, worship, and there was a sannyasi from Adamar Mutt. He was not elderly, at the time he was a middle-aged man, young man. He was a sannyasi and he offered puja on our family's behalf. He gave us blessings from the Lord. I remember looking at him, he smiled at all of us and he was doing the puja. That program happened, my sister got married, then she had children. Meanwhile, I was growing up, I went to college. Life went on. 1984, this incident happened. 94, 2004, 2014, 2024. 40 years later, I got a phone call. I had to urgently go to my hometown for some family purpose. And the day I was traveling to my hometown, that was the day the election results had been announced. India had just witnessed an election. And the Prime Minister Narendra Modi led government won the election for the third consecutive term. And from morning, I reached home, my hometown in the night. The entire journey, everybody was talking about election results. Election. Who is going to form the government? Who is going to be the Prime Minister? And then I come to my hometown, I take a rest in the night, and next day morning I rush for the morning puja because then the whole day we'll have activities. And I'm standing in front of the deities in the temple, and that same sannyasi whom I had seen in 1984 is worshipping Krishna. He is now 75, 80 years old. And when I saw him, suddenly memories, it flashed before me as a young boy. With election in the background, I was seeing the sannyasi do puja. And now 40 years later, again there's election happening in the background and the sannyasi is doing puja. And suddenly my intelligence reconciled this by saying everything has changed. This has not changed. Krishna is real. Krishna's service is real. Everything is changed. And at that point of time, I froze. It was as if I was catapulted to a dimension, a reality beyond this world. Because that tradition is for 800 years, every day, same worship, same rituals for 800 years, going on and on and on. So I realized, wow, everything is going to change. Soon, even the sannyasi will go away. Somebody else will be there. I will be gone. So we have taken our lives too seriously. Actually, God forbid, but if you were to die now, if I was to die now, will it make any difference to the world? Will Bollywood stop producing movies? Will IPL cricket not happen? Nothing will change. We are an insignificant statistic. But we've taken ourselves so seriously. But as everything is changing and getting destroyed, Krishna remains. That is the essence of Bhagavatam. Aham evasam evadari. I will always remain. Srila Prabhupada was on a morning walk in Jagannath Puri in 1977, February, and he saw a young boy jumping in the waves, running in the waves. Prabhupada put his cane on the ground, he looked at that boy and told his disciples, you know this young boy jumping there in the water? I was here in Jagannath Puri in the year 1920. I was a 24-year-old young man then. And now it is 1977. I was exactly like him. I want to run now again in the waters. But I can't. 57 years have passed like this. 57 years have gone. Everything is changing. But when we connect to that eternal reality, we feel a sense of shelter. We feel I am timeless. I don't die. Even when I was a young boy, we had this very famous restaurant in Mumbai. I don't know if you know this. It's called Pancham Puriwala. Now, I had no idea why I was attracted to that hotel. Now I know why. I would insist, I would tell my friends, we'll go there for food. And they would say, why do you insist on Pancham Puriwala? Because it was a very intriguing restaurant because in the year 1800, one man called Panchanan, man from Agra, he came in a bullock cart from Agra to Mumbai and he opened one small stall and he would sell 5 puris and one potato sabzi and one wet sabzi and he would charge some very meager amount. And he opened that restaurant where now we have a very famous railway station. During those days there was no railway station, there was a water tank. And every Sunday criminals would be executed there. They would be publicly hanged. And a large gathering would come there to watch this spectacle. That was their entertainment. And after watching public executions, the people would say, okay, now we are hungry. And they would see this stall of Pancham Puriwala. And they would go and eat puris there. And then he died, his son continued the business. And 8 generations later, I was visiting that restaurant. They had the same recipe, same formula. And when I would eat, then I would feel I am entering timeless space. Everything has changed, but his puri has remained same. His recipe is same, and everybody is eating that. So the more we connect to something that doesn't change, like you go to Jagannath Puri temple, the traditions you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the same traditions are followed today. The more we connect to holy name, which is eternal, the more we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken 5,000 years ago, the more we are in that space, the more we become fearless. So this is the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is what Krishna is inviting us. This is what Srila Prabhupada is inviting us. Rise above your day-to-day problems and seek a reality beyond eating, sleeping, mating and defending. This is the appeal of Srimad Bhagavatam. There was a young Gujarati gentleman, not young, middle-aged man. He was the president of the Gujarati Society in England. He was introducing Srila Prabhupada to the Gujarati Society. He said, "We are very honored today. We have this sannyasi from India, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He is going to address all of us. I request Swamiji, please come and address all of us." And the president of this Gujarati Society sat down. And Prabhupada began the class by saying, "So, when we meet each other, we ask them, 'How are you?' And they say, 'I'm fine. How are you?' And we say, 'I'm fine.' This is how common people greet each other. But if you are seeking spiritual realizations, when you greet each other, you will ask, 'I am working on my spiritual journey like this.' And you would explain what you are doing. And then you would say, 'What are you doing to get out of the cycle of birth and death?' This is how two spiritual people would greet each other. So this Gujarati gentleman was watching this. He was stunned by this introduction to the class. And he went home, he started reading Bhagavatam, and he joined the temple. He was already 55, 58 years old. He had already fulfilled his family responsibilities. He had got his daughters married, he had done his business. And then he joined the temple. And for the next 40 years, 42 years, he was a sannyasi, guru in ISKCON. His Holiness Srila Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj from Rajkot. Till the age of 94, he was preaching Srimad Bhagavatam because he got connection to that eternal reality. So Srimad Bhagavatam is appealing. Get out of the cycle of day-to-day living. Think deeper. Go deeper. Ask questions beyond our day-to-day living. And that is where Brahmaji is being instructed by Lord Vishnu. And to help us connect to this reality, Krishna mercifully comes in this world also. And through our relationships, through our services, we can experience Krishna's love in this world. So like this, Srila Prabhupada is appealing to us through these verses that we need to take shelter of a reality beyond our day-to-day existence. So the four verses, what are the first verse say? Everything is changing, but Krishna and the soul never change. And what does the second verse say? If you don't connect to this reality, we are in illusion. And third verse says that this reality descends to this world and maintains its separate identity. And what is the fourth verse, most important? Jigyasu. Have a curiosity, seeker mentality. What is it? What is it? I want to know the truth. This is what separates an ordinary person from a spiritual seeker. You know Gautama Buddha? The Buddha. He became Buddha because he asked serious questions. What is death? What is birth? When we ask these questions, not in a mood of challenge, but in a receptive mood, wanting to know the truth. The seeker mentality is what will help us explore. Otherwise, we'll be busy with eating, sleeping, sex life, and living. You know, have you heard of Dr. Abdul Kalam? Who is he? the former President of India, very well-known personality. He was very popular with children. He would go to schools and make presentations. He has done at least 5,000 addresses to children, different schools. So in one school, one child asked him a question in a packed auditorium. Who was the world's first scientist? And his one sentence answer gave a thunderous applause. He said, a child is the world's first scientist. Because a child has a seeker mentality, curiosity mindset. So he said we should be having that mentality, especially as spiritualists. We should be seeking that truth. I'll repeat, not challenging, not cynical, but a curiosity, possibility mindset. Like he gave an example, Dr. Abdul Kalam gave an example, that in one school, one child asked him a question, that sir, we have no water in Rajasthan, and there is so much water in Brahmaputra in Assam. Why not just transfer that water to Rajasthan? Our problem will be solved. Dr. Abdul Kalam says, I was shocked because I didn't know how to answer this child. Because it's not technically possible because water belongs to the states. But transferring it is a central government issue. So it's technically not possible. So I couldn't explain to the child it's not possible because for the child it's possible. The child is in a possibility mindset. So he says that if we want to evolve, if we want to grow, we should be in this mode, wanting to know the truth beyond what is apparent. There is one reality which we are seeing every day, but there is a reality beyond that. That open-mindedness. Like I remember once I heard, I hear Srila Prabhupada's classes every day, and Srila Prabhupada's voice is something magical. When he says, so, you rascal, I just feel so. It's like your grandfather is lovingly giving you affection. So in one of the classes he is saying, so we devotees can chant Hare Krishna whole day. We never get tired. I was like, really? Because I get tired after my chanting. So, but then I could have challenged it or I could have dismissed it saying that, oh, he's a pure devotee, I can't chant. No. I sincerely had a curiosity mindset, a seeker mentality at that point of time. Why is he saying this? What is there in the holy name? I was sincerely seeking answer for this. For almost 2-3 weeks, I was constantly meditating on this. What is it about holy name that Srila Prabhupada would say that devotees can chant whole day? What is there in the holy name that makes them chant the holy day? What is it? I'm not there on that level, but I want to know what it is. And I kept asking this question to myself, and how the universe arranges answers. I chanced upon a book, and I got this verse of Sanatana Goswami, where he gives 6 rules for good japa. And one of the things he speaks about is avyagratva, not hurrying your rounds. And somehow when I read that verse, mana samskaranam shaucham maunam mantrartha chintanam avyagratva nirveda japa sampatti hetava. So the first time I read it, I memorized it. I don't know how I memorized it. And everything in that verse not only made sense to me, but that particular word, the 5th of the 6 principles, avyagratva, patience in chanting, that answered my question. How some devotees can chant the whole day and they feel nourished. It was ineffable. I cannot explain it in words. It was as if I got the answer. And since then, I'm not bewildered or confused when I hear statements which are glorifying spiritual activities. So when we have a seeker mentality, we get answers. So if we have this mood, what is the purpose of my life? Where am I going from here? Who am I? The more we seek answers to these questions, more we are fulfilling the purpose of human form of life. And this is the calling of Vedas. I would like to end with this amazing verse from Kathopanishad. This is a verse which many saintly people heard and they left home in search of God. I want you to repeat this verse after me. I assure you, you won't leave home and Go away. But it's very powerful verse. Uttishtata jagrita prapya paran nibodata churasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. There were the three lines. The first line says, Uttishtata, get up. Jagrita, wake up. Uttishtata Jagrita Prapya, you got a special gift. It is unspoken, but it is understood what is the special gift. What is the special gift? Human form of life. Uttishtata Jagrita Prapya Varani Bodhata. You got a blessing. And come on, come to this path. Churasya Dhara, it is like walking on a razor's edge. Nishita Duratya. It is very difficult. Come. Durgam Padastha Kavayo Vadanti. Great saints have said this is a path fraught with difficulties and challenges, and it's a razor's edge. Come on, join us. Can you imagine? This is a verse which many young men and women would read in India 100 years ago, and they would be inspired to leave home and go on a spiritual quest. And what does the verse say? It's a difficult path. Can you imagine saying this today in ISKCON class? Come to ISKCON. It's a very difficult process. Who will come? Nobody will come. It's very easy. Eat gulab jamun. But there was a time when spirituality was presented in its raw form. This is the way it is. And this excited young men and women to dedicate their life for a quest, to seek. They had a seeker's mentality, which is what the Bhagavatam is saying. Etavadeva jigyasyam tattva jigyasunatmana. Seek that higher truth. Understand what is Krishna, what is the relationship with Krishna. Be open-minded to hear Bhagavad Gita. So if you have this pursuit, then not only we are fulfilling the purpose of human life, we will become fearless. Calamities will come, tragedies will come, but we will be focused on something higher, something deeper. So let us fulfill the purpose of our human life according to these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. We all have a responsibility, because what we can do, what we can achieve, animals cannot. We are at a junction, at a crossroad of perfecting our life, attaining self-realization. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Yantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any reflections, comments, corrections? Hare Krishna. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for Bihari for this class. My question is, when we come across our philosophy, there's a lot of, obviously for a good reason, repetition in the sense that, we are not this body, we are the soul, Krishna is supreme being. So how can we keep this inquisitive mentality when we come across the same philosophy? How do we keep it?
How do we keep that inquisitiveness when we keep hearing the repetition?
Yeah.
Okay. Now our Radhesham Prabhu, he once asked a question to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj in the Bhagavatam class 2 years ago. He said, Maharaj, many devotees say that they already know the philosophy. They already know we are not the body, we are the soul. And when the Bhagavatam class is going on, they are like, oh, I already know this. And therefore they are more excited to read self-help books. Or they are excited to read something else. And then connect that to Bhagavatam and try to make Bhagavatam more relevant. They say, I already know this. I've heard it so many times. I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Let me read something else. So, how do we understand this, Maharaj? And Radhanath Swami Maharaj gave a beautiful answer, which is permanently etched in my heart. He said, please know, when we read scriptures, initial days we may be reading them for information. But once we know what is the truth, then you will find them repetitive. And at that time, please know, we are not reading Bhagavatam or books scriptures for information and knowledge. We are reading Bhagavatam for association. We are associating with Krishna, we are associating with Bhagavatam, and in that association, purification happens, transformation happens. Because we are receptive, we are open-minded, we are allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, we are letting go the resistance, and that sound vibration will purify, and newer insights will emerge. Like these verses which I just spoke today, I read it first time in 1998. It didn't make as much sense to me then as it is making now. Bhagavad Gita, every year I read, and I'm like, oh, every year I get different, newer insights from the same verse. So it's not repetitive. That's the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Externally it may appear to be repetitive, but as you are progressing, it reveals newer insights. Yes, that's the way it is. So we are reading not for information, we read for association of that scripture. It's like this. I was telling the story of my cousin brother. He got into Indian military academy. He's sharing an interesting story. I think every government, every country has this military academy. And one of the subjects they study is wars. All the wars in history. So he said we studied in great detail the First World War, Second World War, Battle of Somme, Operation Barbarossa, everything. And we have to write exams. What happened in this war, who won, what are the mistakes they made, and all of that. And then he said after all that 3-year course, they became National Security Guard commandos, expertly trained to combat terrorists. And then there was a terrorist attack in Mumbai, 2008. I don't know if you remember. Taj Mahal Hotel was attacked by terrorists of world. It was a sensational news. It's crazy. So there was this elite group of commandos who barged into that hotel and neutralized the terrorists. So he was saying when we entered the premises, it's not that all the soldiers got together and they said, okay, we have studied so many wars. Which war lesson are we going to apply now? That's not the way it was. Because of studying all these wars, our intuition had developed. We had developed skills. We understood the dynamics. And now, based on the collective wisdom that we had gathered, in that particular spot, we could devise a strategy that was appropriate for the occasion, which will then be part of a textbook in future. So when he was explaining this, I understood. Bhagavatam may not have answers to your problems in terms of job, relationships in 2026. But the more we read second canto, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj stories, the more our conscience is developed, our intuition is developed, more we develop skill sets which are aligned to universal values. And then when we are faced in a unique situation, because of that exposure and association with Srimad Bhagavatam, we will be guided to act in harmony with the universal values. That's how Bhagavatam has answer to all our problems. Even if it is repetitive, just spending time in that space will open up new frontiers. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, I see one hand here. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mr. Beautiful class. Prabhu, you were explaining about the 6 points about good chanting. Can you elaborate on that?
Mana samskaranam shaucham maunam mantrata chintanam avyakratva anirveda japa sampatti veda japa. Chanting of the holy name becomes perfect when we have these 6 rules. Mana samskaranam, pulling the mind gently back to the holy name when you see the mind is wandering. That is the first. Shaucham means cleanliness. Just like you are very particular about the food you eat, water you drink. Similarly, we should be careful about what goes into our mind. We should be clean externally and internally. Manah samskaranam shaucham maunam. Keep quiet. Don't talk unnecessarily. Unless it's adding value, don't open your mouth. It takes a lot of energy. Have you experienced this when you talk a lot, when you have a lot of social life, next to your chanting is like, it takes a lot of energy. Maunam. Fourth, mantrartha chintanam means meditate on the meaning of the holy name as you are chanting Hare Krishna. Which means internally choose thoughts. Krishna, I want to serve you, please help me. Those kind of thoughts, the more we choose as you vibrate the holy name, that is called mantrartha chintanam. And fifth is avyakratva, which is what I was talking about. Avyakratva means don't rush. You may take 10 minutes extra every day, but when you don't rush your rounds, you feel loved. Like in a relationship, if you claim to love someone and that person is talking to you and keep looking at the watch, that person will feel so unloved. Similarly, we are spending time with Krishna in japa and we keep looking at the watch or we keep moving our beads in a restless way. You see, in devotees chanting, sometimes we are so desperate to finish the round. I don't know if you've seen this. Like we keep opening the bead bag and see how many beads are left. We don't seem to be interested in these beads as much as we're interested in these beads. Want to do this one fast and finish it up. It's a burden. So this is very unloving. Avyagratva means stop this habit. Avyagratva means just hold on, patient. And Anirveda means determined to continue even when you don't feel taste. Even when you don't feel the joy of chanting, you keep chanting every day. Anirveda. 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 So these 6 rules, Sanatana Goswami assures, if we follow, we'll be happy, we can chant the whole day. That's what Srila Prabhu was saying in that class. So like that. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Yes, Ramchandra. Yes, I'll take a question from the mother. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I've just finished Ramayana and I have a question about it. So Rama did what he did because he had the karma of emperor above the karma of a husband, right? How do we balance different karma dharmas in our modern life?
Beautiful question. How do we balance different dharmas in our modern life? This is answered in the 2nd chapter of Gita, 66th verse. Krishna says that Ashantasya kuta sukham. How can you be peaceful? How can you be happy if you are not peaceful? And to be peaceful, we need to understand that one common thing. See, you have right now, we all have, let us admit, we all have many roles. Do you agree? Some of your managers, wives, or husbands, son, father, many roles. And in each role, we have many goals. And somewhere they conflict. And you go crazy. Right? So therefore, Bhagavad Gita recommends, discover that one common underlying purpose that goes through all these roles and goals. There has to be something common. And the more you connect to that common purpose, common goal, you will be able to harmonize all the contradictions. Like for example, I am a son. I have a mother who is in India. I am also a brother. I am also an ashram monastery member. I am also a leader of a community. So I have got many roles. I am also a preacher. I am a teacher. I am a sadhaka. So sometimes some things may conflict. So what is that one thing that runs through the whole thing is, how can I please my Guru and Krishna? That's that one common factor. What will really make Krishna happy? The more I ask this question, the more I connect with this purpose, I am directed to an activity or to a choice, to make a choice that will harmonize. Of course, in this material world, you can't always make a perfect choice. There will always be a trade-off. That's why even Lord Ram, as a king, what he did was perfect, but as a husband, what he did was not right. Right? He left Mother Sita in Valmiki Muni's ashram. So that's the way it is. So we can't, everybody will have to, that is called a Dharma Sankat. Dharma Sankat means conflict of, see, when there is right and bad choice, we know what to do. Right? Good thing, good and bad, what choice to make? Good one. But if you are good and good, then what do you do? That's called Dharma Sankat. So Lord Ram had that Sankat. So for us it would be like, I know many Indians have this, Prabhu, my wife and my children want to be in America. My parents want us to come back to India. What should I do? I tell them, get your parents here. No, they can't come. So what should I do? I said, this is Dharma Sankat. Like one man told me that he is now on the verge of his career where if he spends 5 hours extra in work, after 2 years he won't have to work ever for the rest of his life. He'll have enough savings that he can spend the rest of his life very comfortably. Yes, he has to work 4 to 5 hours extra every day. But this is a time when his daughter, young daughter, has fallen so sick that she needs a lot of personal attention from him for the next 1.5 2 years. So he says, now if I let go this job, then I take care of her, but I'm losing on something in the long term. But if I go for that, I'm neglecting my daughter. What should I do? There are no easy answers for this. So in life, we always face conflicts. That's called, and that time when we remember Krishna, that's called purification. And that's why don't look for easy answers. It will be tough. We'll have difficulty managing our responsibilities. That's called Dharma Sankat. That's part of purification. The gold has to go through fire to become gold. We have to trust Krishna as the best goldsmith. If he puts too much fire, it will melt away. If he doesn't put any fire, it will not get, the impurities won't go away. But Krishna being the best goldsmith will put right amount of fire in our life. So these kind of challenges you will go through. Therefore we need to do few things. One is connect to the deeper purpose. Second, accept it's a Dharma Sankat. Be grateful and move on. You may make a mistake, but you are not a mistake. And move on. Okay? Should we end here or should we take one more question? We have a question here or should we? After class, you can take one last question. Yes, bro.
Thank you for the class. Well, you were speaking about the verse 4, which is dive deeper, develop seeker mentality. I also heard in many of your other classes this. When you I was saying that verse 4 speaks about diving deeper and developing seeker mentality. You spoke about this topic. In other lectures also, like, and in this lecture also about how you came to these realizations. And in one lecture you mentioned, and that was, I found it as a very profound realization where you mentioned that when you seek answers, like Krishna speaks like Jeremy was saying, you mentioned that when you're looking for answers from Lord gives the answers at His time. You mentioned it yesterday too. So I found it as a very profound realization. So may I know, like, do we have any scriptural references also for all of this?
10th chapter Gita, 10th verse. Tesham tata yuktanam balitam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogantam yenama vinandite. I will give intelligence if you are sincere in your devotional service. And then the 11th verse. Tesham evam kampartam aham agyana janmatama nashayam atma bhavasto jnana dikena bhasvata. Krishna is saying that I will light the lamp of knowledge in your heart. 15th chapter, Gita, 15th verse, Krishna is saying, Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishto matta smritiryanamapohanamcha. Is that in the heart? He is giving us the remembrance and forgetfulness. 18th chapter, Krishna says, Upadrishta anumanta cha bharta bhokta neshvara paramatmeti chapyukto. Prabhu's scriptures are filled with references. Krishna guiding the wandering soul. Our problem is we are not willing to receive, we want to hunt. We are intellectual hunters. We think if I figure out the answer, if I control my life, I'll get answers. Bhakti, God's voice is not achieved. You can't achieve grace, you have to receive it. To receive, you have to be present, you have to be mindful, you have to be receptive. Our problem is we are control freaks even in the name of being a devotee. We think, I'll do this chanting so much, I'll organize my life, then I'll get Krishna. Krishna will slip through your hands. Munipunga, what is that verse? Pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo. You can't even reach Krishna. So we have to be in the mood of receiving. For scriptural references are unlimited, Prabhu. So what we need to do is, if you are in the receptive mood, you will see Krishna's hand every day in your life. So in the night before sleeping, you could try this exercise. Trust me when I say this. Try this. Before sleeping every night, just answer one question. How did God appear to me in my life today? Trust me, you will have a blank answer. You will not be able to answer anything. But don't give it up. Again, tomorrow night before sleeping, ask that question. If night time you are tired, morning, first thing you do when you wake up to answer this question. How did Krishna appear to me the last 24 hours? You may not have an answer, fine. After 5 minutes of contemplation, be present, receive, no answer, no problem. Again, next day, do this every day. And time will come in your life, you will have every day at least 2 or 3 instances to note how Krishna appeared in your life. Sometimes through an amazing statement you hear in a class. Sometimes some friendly advice from a devotee. Sometimes, random incidents, like I was in the train chanting, and after my chanting, I kept my bead bag in the table in front of me and I dozed off. And my station came. I got up. I ran to get off the train and then I realized my bead bag. And I came back, picked up my bead bag and got off the train. An ordinary day-to-day incident which happens with all of us. But because in the night I had this practice of writing, how did God appear to me today? I took a deep breath and I realized it was Krishna who told me, see, the Gita says Krishna is always there in your heart. So it is as if Krishna was next to me and I am getting on off the train and Krishna is chatting me. Prabhu, you have forgotten it, not Prabhu. He told me rascal. Don't call me Prabhu. Rascal, you forgot your feedback. Go, get it. Oh, yes. So, in one sense, it was ordinary. I just remembered, I had forgotten. But Gita Krishna says, I give the remembrance. So, it was Krishna who told me, you rascal, you forgot your feedback. And then I go pick up my feedback. So, that day in my diary, I wrote, Krishna reminded me today to collect my feedback from the train. This is just one incident. Like this, if you are more present and receptive, every day you will have 5, 6, 7 instances when Krishna appears. And then, that answers your question. So you have been Krishna conscious. Yes.
Like these verses, some of the verses you cited earlier, it doesn't speak about the timing of that, right? Like timing in the sense that the Dhammi Buddhi Yogamtam will not happen immediately. It will happen at the sleep moment, like that.
Yeah, I said that, look, it can happen immediately also, but I just said it happened one time because I didn't want you to give up hope. Some devotees generally, when they, just like in this world, see, you have to understand this, Prabhu. Krishna speaks in a different language than we speak. We speak English, we speak Hindi. Krishna speaks in a language called Paravak. There are sound is at 4 levels. I'll just take 1 minute to explain this. Please listen to this. Sound is at the level of speech it's called Vaikari. Vaikari means, I want to go to temple. 6 words I spoke just now. I want to go to temple. This is called Vaikari. Sound in the form of speech. Sound can also be in thoughts. It's called Madhyama Vak. So I'm taking a shower. I get a thought. I want to go to temple. I didn't speak it to anyone. But I got a thought. That is also sound. Speech can be recorded through an audio device. Thoughts, by writing you can record. But it's subtle. That's called Madhyama Vak. And sound is even subtler. First is speech. Second, thoughts. Third, sound is also present in feelings. So when I'm taking a shower, I got a feeling. Feeling is like a wave in the consciousness. A wave entered me. a wave of shelter and love. And that feeling translated to a thought. And that thought translated into words. I want to go to temple. So feeling is even more difficult to record. So we can't catch our feelings, thoughts. Some people are not even, they don't even know what they're speaking. You know? Most people think and speak. There are some people I know they speak and then they think. They just, so we have no control over our speech, thoughts and feelings. So this is called Pashyanti Vak. So sound can be a level of speech, thoughts and feelings. And then there is sound at the level of the soul. That's called Para. The soul speaks to Krishna in the language of, we'll say, okay, how does it sound? Well, we cannot explain it. Because if we can explain it, then our material mind intelligence, how can matter explain spirit? By definition, it is ineffable. We cannot understand. You will know it when you know it. So I just said, it will be in Krishna's own time. What I meant was, it is in a language, it's in a dimension which is beyond matter. That's it. It may be immediate. It may be after 10 years, I don't know. Is that okay? You know, there is this, you know, neem, what do you call neem in English? Neem ka ped. Neem is very bitter leaves. Neem ka ped ka kida. Neem is a very bitter leaf. And mango is very sweet. Aam ka ped. So one day, this neem ka ped ka kida, that neem tree, one worm from the mango tree reached there. So this neem ka ped ka kida said, where have you come from? Where I come from mango tree. What is mango? He said mango is very sweet. Now neem, as opposed to aam is mango, neem is whatever. Neem is very bitter. So the neem ka ped ka kida, the worm in the neem tree said, you are from what? Mango tree. What is mango? So this aam ka ped ka kida said, mango is very sweet. He said, what is sweet? He said, it is sweet. Mango, sweet. He just didn't have an idea because he is neem ka ped ka kida. He has no idea what is sweet. Similarly, we are like neem ka ped ka kida. We are living in the world of matter. We have no idea what is parava. We have no idea what is sweetness of Krishna's voice. And we are trying our best to explain it in words. And we are failing. Pure devotees do that to a certain extent. But when they glorify Krishna, it is like, this, sometimes these children in the water, swimming pool, when they are under the water, they start speaking. You see? But they have so much to say, but what the sound coming out is very basic. So we have pure devotees saying, Radhe Radhe, Krishna, Gauranga. So that's like something we can understand ecstasy, but they are carrying so much ecstasy within their heart. We don't know what it is. It's like very deep. They have a very deep relationship with Krishna. We make sense of something at the top level. So this paravak is a very deep science. So to access that, we have to first at least become aware of our thoughts and our feelings. We have to be more present, mindful, receive Krishna. And we may hear Krishna's voice soon, tomorrow, day after, I don't know. Srila Prabhupada, 1922, his Guru told him to go to America and preach. And then in 1955, one man tells him, why are you giving these newspapers? Write a book. Then start writing the book. One drunkard doctor tells him, you are praying too much, that is your problem. You should go on a morning walk. He starts going on a morning walk. He says, Krishna spoke to me through that doctor. So if you are more receptive, fine-tuned, you will be able to catch and receive Krishna's grace. But it is not a substitute for associating with devotees, reading scriptures, being under the guidance of senior devotees. Okay, we'll stop here. I went over time. My sincere gratitude to all of you for your kind attention and love. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Narendra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear Gurus. Thank you for joining us today. It was one of the very blessed evenings. We had a very special guest with us, His Grace Bihari Prabhu. Let's give a big round of applause and express our gratitude. Thank you once again. So, as you know that we are celebrating festivals. So, one of the festivals which you should mark is our Rath festival. It is on June 27th. So please mark the calendars and spread the word as much as possible. It will be one of the biggest festivals we will be celebrating here in ISKCON Boston. We would love to have as many people as possible for that festival. As I told you, our budget is increasing more and more. It's almost crossing like 70 to 80,000 actually. So we need a lot of support, a lot of help, a lot of encouragement. So please try to get and we also need so many volunteers. So help us in whatever way you can. And do join us for this wonderful festival. And today's speech is sponsored by. It is sponsored by the